Hello and welcome to episode 35 of Daryl Show Your Work. And in my previous video, I briefly went over Zeek logs towards the end of my video, and I want to dive a little deeper in how we could utilize those to find network anomalies or potential indicators of compromise. And so while going through these different log types and expanding on them a bit more, perhaps we can even find another network a security issue. All right, so to get started, the first thing that I need to do is I need to switch to my desktop directory. All right, to begin working with Zeek, I am going to put in the following command, Zeek, and what this is going to do is I am going to extract the necessary data that we're going to be working with and from a PCAP file, and it's going to then parse that into various different various different logs based upon the data that's in that packet capture. All right, so then I'm telling it the actual file name here, which is windows traffic dash captured. All right, .pcap. All right, so I'm basically telling Zeek to hey to extract all as much of the information from this packet capture as you can and parse it into to various logs. So we're going to see that here. I'm gonna hit enter. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna verify that it has indeed broke that packet capture down into various logs for us to then analyze. So in order to do that, I'm gonna just do a list, then dash AL for all. All right, so we can see that this is our original packet capture down here, and these are all the logs that were generated from the command that I ran. So the first log that we want to look into is let's check out the HTTP log. All right, and so just to kind of briefly go over what the HTTP log is, it's going to contain the detailed information about our HTTP traffic, which is on port 80, including the timestamps, client and server IP addresses, HTTP methods, then get and post, and requested URLs and HTTP status codes. All right. So in order to do that, I'm gonna just say cat http.log, and that should give us that output. All right, so you can see we have a lot of output here, but there's something that we want to take a look at. So I'm gonna kind of scroll up here, and this would be easier to see if I had smaller font, but I want to make sure that everyone watching can see the most important aspects of what we're looking at. So the thing that we want to see is this over here. It's the source IP. So we're looking at what, let me see, don't know if I can scroll over without let's see, I may have to reduce my, let me try to reduce this a little bit so I can show you the full result. See, let's take it down to 18, and hopefully those watching will still be able to see what's displayed. All right, let's see. Okay, so hopefully that's not too small. But I wanted to bring this portion up here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So we look at 192, 168, 110. We notice that it makes sends various information, tries to make various connections with this external IP address, which is at 172.66.40.71, and it's consistent getting bad requests, and this continues to happen over and over with this particular internal IP address, which is which is indicative of potentially something malicious going on, but in itself, probably not enough evidence to say something definitely is malicious going on. But these repeated attempts for it to keep reaching the same external IP address, it does raise some flags, and we're going to dive a little deeper into that. All right, so um, in order to dive a bit deeper into that, we're going to look at the DNS log. So what the DNS log contains are records of DNS queries and responses, including the timestamps, source and destination IP addresses, query types, and response codes. All right, so that's going to help us to get a shed a little bit more light of what could be going on here. So in order to dive into those log files, I'm gonna just simply do cat dns.log, since that's one of the logs that were generated from our pcap file. All right, so this is very hard to read. All right, but the thing that we want to pull from this is that we want to look at the frequency in which our IP 192.168 10 is appearing. And if we look, let me go up just a little bit so I can. Okay, if we look at this row here, all right, and just kind of scroll down, we can see out of all the IP addresses that we have on the network, 192.168, 110 appears the most as far as making the most requests. All right, so that's something we want to dig further into, because it's still in the DNS records, it's making the most external requests here. All right, so in order to do that, we're gonna I'm gonna cat the DNS file again, but I'm gonna add some parameters. And what these parameters are going to do is only going to show the entries where the source IP is 192.168.110, and then I'm going to save that output to a file that I'm going to name analyzed.log. So that way it'll kind of reduce um, um, visually what we're looking at here, and only reduce things down to looking at just the DNS request from this 192.168.110 address. All right, so I'm going to start writing that out. So I'm going to do cat. Well, I don't have to write that out. Let's see. Go back in the history. All right, and then I'm just going to add to this, and I'm going to say pipe. All right, then I'm going to say sort. No, hold on, I don't want to do a sort actually. No, I want to do Zeek. And then I'm going to tell Zeek to cut a portion of this out. And I want to cut the portion I want to cut out is the category ID dot orig. I think I spelled that wrong. Yeah, I did. Orig dot h, or rather underscore h, and then query qtype. Then I'm gonna pipe that again. I'm gonna say grep. All right, so I'm specifying exactly where to look to, or what particular um, string to look for here. And so basically anywhere that has 192.168.1.110, and then I'm gonna say to then copy that to a new file called analyzed.log. All right, just checking my syntax here. All right, I believe we should be good to go. All right. So now let's next thing we should do is let's take a look at this new log file that we copied the results of that query or that command where we cut just the traffic for 192, 168, 110 into. So we're going to do cat analyzed.log. All right. So what this is giving us is it basically just gives us a chronological history of the domains visited of 192 1 on 168 110. All right, so this is good, but we want to narrow this down even more to see, because we see a bunch of well, actually what it did too, because I did say everywhere where it said 192 168 1.110, it also included anything and it basically anything with that in it, including 100. So we have both 110 and 100 in here. So I want to be able to reduce this down uh, even more to be able to look for any sort of questionable entries or anything that would be indicative of to help us understand where this traffic may be going and to have a better visualization of that. All right, so in order to do that, I'm going to cat analyze log again, but similar to what I did with the DNS log, I'm going to add some parameters to help us visually here in identifying any sort of anomalies or questionable things. All right, so I'm gonna say pipe, and then I'm actually going to sort this and add another pipe, and I'm gonna say un. All right, q is a unique dash c. All right, and what this is going to do, it's basically going to give us the ability to review the frequency of the DNS request for each domain that's listed. All right, so I'm gonna hit enter. All right, so ignoring everything we see with 100 here and looking at just 110, we see there was quite a few requests to DNS MS FTN CI.com. But this generally, looking at this on its own, looks pretty like normal network behavior, except for one entry. And just want to give those watching some time to look at everything that's here and find maybe the one thing that's a bit off as far as normal network um, behavior. As far as think about a professional enterprise, what would stand out? All right, so the thing that stands out here is this particular last entry here, which is www.domainsforbitcoin.com. So, based upon what we've seen first in our HTTP instance, as far as the traffic all going to from one machine all going to another very frequently, and despite the bad requests that's coming back, this continues. That machine continues to go to that address, and what we've seen within our DNS entries here, and this questionable domain and where the domain seems to point to as far as a Bitcoin site, there's a very high probability that we're looking at some Bitcoin mining, potential Bitcoin mining on this enterprise. All right, so that's just an example of how we can use different sort of zeek-log entries to correlate certain behaviors to then draw a conclusion as far as what could potentially be going on as far as some traffic anomalies and some sites being visited. All right, so but we're not done as of yet. So we also wanted to look at again that the connection log, that con.log. So again, for just to kind of review that, even though it was mentioned in a previous video, basically looking at the con.log allows us to view the detailed summary of all network connections observed by the systems, capturing a comprehensive record of connection attempts, which is for a network security analysis. So to kind of show what that looks like. All right, so I'm gonna do just a cat log. Excuse me, cat con.log. All right, so this gives us a full list of attempted connections. All right, so we can again see 110 here, and looking at this traffic, we could potentially add another layer of search or another filter here to kind of lower this even more. So let's say we were looking at this enormous list, and we just wanted to draw just want to know a single fact. Like, let's say we want to know, hey, what was the frequency of the TCP port that was used the most? All right, so if we want to know something like that, okay, and instead of having to look at this long entry and trying to count how many times a certain port was used compared to others, we could simply just add some parameters here to our to how it is that we're viewing our connection log. So in order to do that, I'm gonna do z as in Zeek grep. All right. So let's say I wanted to know, all right, how many SSL connections were made, right? And to which SSL port. So I'm gonna say everywhere that there's SSL in con.log, pipe that out, AWK, and I'm gonna tell it to print and give it curly brackets here. $6 in curly bracket. All right, and then we're gonna add another another single quote, then pipe it again, and then I'm gonna tell it to sort, give it a space, another pipe there, and we're gonna do a unique -c again, sort -nr. All right. So again, so this is going to be used to analyze the SSL or TLS connection specifically. This analysis is crucial as TCP is used primarily for TLS and SSL in secure communications, and is vital for identifying a normal versus suspicious traffic patterns. This contains filters, the log entry. Excuse me. This command contains filters the log entries for SSL TLS connections and extracts the destination port used in these connections, and then sorts and counts each occurrence to find the most frequently used ports. We can so what I'm gonna do is when I hit enter this, it's going to give us some feedback, and I'm gonna explain what it's done. So we can see that port 443 was the most frequently used destination port to make SSL TLS connections. So it helped reduce this traffic down to just only SSL TLS used ports, meaning that it's looking at encrypted protocols. So it takes everything from this list, reduce it down to the encrypted protocols, look everywhere where it says here SSL, and then give us a feedback for that. And every place where it found that was for port 443. So that reduces. So we want to look for specific information such as that what SSL TLS port was used the most frequently to make connections, that this command right here tells us that. All right, so let's say we want to narrow this down even more. Let's say we wanted to know the exact version of SLL or TLS that was used to make this connection, or the frequency of that. Which one of those within this narrow scope? How many of these ports was what was the most frequent version of TLS or SSL used amongst these ports that use 443? So in order to view that, we're going to look at the SSL log. Okay, so cat SSL. Oh, I had to put log. All right. So looking at this log here, we can see that based upon what we're getting back, that TLS version 12 was used the most out of all of these SSL TLS connections, these secure connections on port 443. The most frequently one that was actually been able to be identified was TLS version 12. So that just kind of gives us an idea of how we can just further lessen our scope and to really get into really specific details we wanted to. And excuse me, I did forget to go over exactly what the SSL log is in general, not just in the context of the situation that we're or the scenario that we're using is, but to give a high level explanation of it. It basically contains detailed information about SSL and TLS sessions, including timestamps, client and server client and server IP addresses, the SLL version or TLS version, the cipher suite, the certificate information, and session state. All right, so that's a high level overview of it. And in this particular scenario, we used it to try to identify. The thing we wanted from here was to be able to identify the particular version of TLS that was used to make the certain connections from the previous log analysis that we did using connection log of the 443 connections. So that's going to bring us to the end of this video. Again, this is just was a very high level view of Zeek logs and how the Zeek logs can be used to correlate each other try to find malicious events on your network, and how we could then take high level data and to break it down into more specific information that we want to know about certain activities or certain ports, to begin to tell a real story about what's going on our network, or what may have happened on um, on our network during certain events, and to be able to identify any areas that may need extra attention in terms of patching or hardening. So please like, subscribe, and share. Most importantly, show your work. And until next time, take care of yourself, and God bless.